Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, and welcome to all of you watching us in Doha. I'm Dalton Tanaraka in Jakarta, and here is this week's HI Hot List. Shaky ground. Some want to change the law so the president can stay in office. Good thing or bad move? Old school, the benefits of reading a good book. We talk with the founder of a Bali literary festival, Janet Deneefe. And Foodie Alert, new menu items are arriving, including thick pizzas and long sandwiches. Here are my co-hosts. Millie Luquito is CEO of the Mobiliati Group from her home in Jakarta. And sitting in for Sandrina this week, Linda Ibrahim, business consultant and writer in Jakarta. Hot topic number one, shaky ground. In recent months, there has been talk about extending the president's term in office to beyond 2 5-year terms. A grassroots group called Jokpro 2024 believes he's doing a good job to warrant a constitutional amendment. And his political supporters, of course, would like to stay in power longer. Now, Joko Widodo himself has publicly rejected the idea. Millie, as a former political candidate, you know term limits serve an important purpose in a democracy. Agree?
Yes. Well, Dalton, first of all, the 1945 Constitution has gone through 4 amendments already. And in particular, Article 7 of the original 1945 Constitution stipulates that a president can be re-elected after serving a 5-year term without providing a specific time limit. So yes, a third term is possible. And I might call it a bonus term. And in my personal opinion, however, 3 presidential terms might undermine democracy. However, if the people are willing and the people can obtain Pak Jokowi's achievements as presidents, and the press, academicians are all agreeing and accepting his achievements as presidents, then I say, why not?
But Millie, you're playing both sides here. The law, I thought the law specifically said 2 5-year terms.
No, the law says a president can be re-elected after serving a 5-year term. So he can be re-elected for a second time of a specific numbers of years.
Okay, but it's come to be interpreted as maximum 2 5-year terms. I mean, you have to go to court to see if you can get judges to agree with your loose interpretation. Now, the idea of extending term limits has been raised in other countries, of course, but mostly, I must say, where dictators are in power. And what comes to mind is Russia and some African nations. Linda, why is this not a good idea for us?
Well, let me just first add to what Millie already said. Yes, there have been 4 changes, and the last change actually happened in 1999, and that was when it was stipulated that the limit for consecutive terms is 2. So that's the last changes that was done. So which means now if they want to do it for the 3rd time, they're going to have to go to the Constitutional Court again and file and make their plea. So it's not like the law was just left hanging there. The 4th Amendment that happened in 1999, and if everyone remembers, that came on the heels of New Order after 32 years of unchecked balance by Suharto. So there was a very good reason why that last change was done in 1999 to limit it to 2 consecutive terms. And why I think it's a bad idea to do a 3rd time, a 3rd period, just because maybe some people want it or majority want it, is because everyone forgets why the last amendment was done. 32 years of unchecked balance by Suharto has left us with problems we're still dealing with now, we're still trying to overcome now. Just because a majority of people want something, it doesn't mean that the majority is always right. And we've had that problems with, for example, religious majority here that, they have always tried to push their agenda and it's not serving well for the minority. So why are we doing this politically? I don't understand.
And then we have, but on the other hand, we have Singapore, where there are unlimited terms in office. Founding Father Lee Kuan Yew spent 31 years, almost the same amount as President Suharto as Prime Minister. And Millie, many argue, as you are, at least halfway, that it's a good thing.
I think contextually, if you think about 3 presidential terms, it might undermine democracy. It is true. However, we are probably talking about the figure of President Jokowi himself, him with his vision and his planning, long-term planning on infrastructure, on building this nation. So again, as I said, if the people, if a majority are willing, and also neutral press, neutral academics agree on that, on his achievements, and are willing to re-elect him for the 3rd time, then why not? Personally, I said, why not?
Well, the global average, if we want to look by comparison, is 2 terms for a leader, ranging from 4 to 7 years each. You know, I believe that if a leader can't begin to make progress in a year, he or she will not do it in a full 1, 2, or 3 terms. So, Linda, to wrap this up now, what I guess Billy is saying, it basically goes back to the person, not the office, but not necessarily by changing the law to stay in office. You can become an advisor like Lee Kuan Yew did, where he became a senior prime minister, or give him an honorary title so he could still advise.
I agree, you can do that. And the thing is, once you change the law just because of one person, you're gonna bound to change the law again for yet another person with almost equally supportive argument. And that's going to be a downward spiral for the country.
And a sign of why maybe this isn't a good idea, as I said at the top, even Jokowi himself said that he rejects the idea, and he's not pushing for that, even though his supporters are. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly with Old School, why reading a good book should never go out of style. Our guest next, Janet Deneefe of the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival.
I'm Caitlin Turner, and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Dropping your hands to the mat, just step it back and out and up to the sky. Up through your fingertips. Reach your right hand back behind your head. Let your hands separate forward and then start.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia channel.
Playlist.
Semuanya perasaan, rasa cinta ku persembahkan untukmu di dalam lubuk hatiku. Tolong lihat aku dan jawab pertanyaanku.
iPop on the Indonesia channel.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Millie, Linda, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, old school. There have been many things that have seen increases in this COVID-19 pandemic: home deliveries, Netflix subscriptions, and reading. And that makes sense because of more free time. Surveys say frequency grew along with a trend toward heftier novels. To paraphrase author John Green, quote, "Reading a good book is like peeing. It's very hard to stop once you start." Yes, there have been a few positives this past year and a half. Linda, real quickly, I know you like to read. How much more did you pick up a book?
Oh, after COVID, I'm guessing a whole lot more. I actually went back to the backlog of books I'd been buying before COVID. I didn't have time to read. Now I actually do. Which is
Okay,
good.
and industry surveys in one taken this past April found that 37% of responders read printed books only, old school, with 7% only exclusively ebooks. Millie, are you traditional or digital, and why?
I've been reading ever since I was a kid, ever since I was very, very young.
Yeah, the question is traditional or digital books?
So after a while, I keep on piling traditional books, hard copy books. I've been piling and piling. So, and then like 5 years ago, I decided I want to go digital. So I bought a Kindle, and I've been reading ebooks ever since.
But don't you miss the holding it in your hand and smelling the fresh book?
I do not at all. And I'm so happy with my Kindle. It's so small, and in it I have 112 books, which I can flip back and forth. I'm so happy with my digital.
Of course, and that's the advantage, the storage space and the ease of switching books. Okay, you know, an annual event honoring the important tradition of reading is coming up next month. The Ubud Writers and Readers Festival was created in 2004 in response to the Bali bombings that devastated the resort island. Janet Deneefe is the person behind the international event, and she joins us now from Sanur. Janet, thank you very much for being with us. Now, why did you think a literary event would help Bali recover 17 years ago?
Well, I guess because at the time we needed an event, you know, to draw people back to Bali, you know, an event that brought in leading names and, you know, maybe something more than your average kind of event. So I found that, you know, in view of the fact that we had been devastated by an act of terrorism, something quite tragic, you know, I felt that we needed something like literature, because I always believe the pen is mightier than the sword. So it felt appropriate to start a writers' festival because it creates a platform where you can talk about global issues, bring people together, and basically, discuss the issues that concern us all. So that seemed the right timing to do that.
Yeah, and it's survived since then. You know, in a less developed country like Indonesia, books play a larger role in education and entertainment because of a lack of digital infrastructure. Do you see kids still picking up books to read where you are, Janet?
I guess people are still reading, whether they're actually reading, you know, classic books or digital, whatever. They're still reading, they're still writing. So we're just looking at ways of, you know, increasing that audience, you know, using platforms that are convenient for them. So the written word and reading will never die. It's just the way they do it that might change.
Linda, a question for Janet, please.
Ibu Janet, I really enjoyed twice I went to Ubud Writers and Readers Festival. With so much changes going on in the world since COVID, what do you see as the enlightening piece that you can present to the readers this year?
We see more and more that our audience in Indonesia anyway is young Indonesians. So we've been thinking a lot about how we engage more with Indonesians and make our festival more relevant for young Indonesians. So we're trying to create programs that encourage them, again, to read more, to write more. We're hoping to launch a Twitter initiative this week, you know, about writing short stories and, you know, different things like that. So we're trying to think about young Indonesians and what it is that attracts them to be part of a writers' festival. because that's our future audience.
What kind of mix of guests do you have this year, Janet?
Well, normally we have half Indonesian and half non-Indonesian. And again, we're trying to make the Indonesian audience, we're looking at our younger folk. But yeah, roughly it's half and half.
Okay, Millie, question for Janet, please.
First of all, you are my daughter's hero. She's based in Vancouver and would love to meet you someday. My question would be, would you be bringing the festival to Jakarta, as a way to expand the festival itself, number one? And number two, would this be only a writers festival or writers and, let's say, social media, social marketing type of festival?
Yeah. We would bring it to Jakarta if we had support to do that. We'll do anything if we have, financial backing or support. And we do every year after the festival, we do a satellite program where we take a number of writers and connect with literary communities. And in normal years, pre-COVID, after the festival, we would visit 6 cities around Indonesia and do small events, pop-up events, So yeah, we're always trying to engage with a wider Indonesian audience. The second question was, well, as I said, we're about to launch a Twitter campaign to encourage more young people to read and to write. We're trying to, up our game with social media, etc. So we're constantly exploring more ways to, increase the profile of literature beyond a book or even ebooks, because we understand that nowadays, it's all different. So yeah, we're certainly looking at all those ways to connect in the modern era.
Yeah, Millie, I think I know where you're going with this, because I actually read a short book on Twitter. The author would put out, the maximum amount every so often, and it was kind of compelling and very interesting. So that might be an expansion field for Janet. The digital authors.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. Yeah.
Sure. Janet, make a pitch for Ubud. I know you're visiting Sanur right now, but Ubud seems to be like the hotbed or a sanctuary for deep thinking and literary aspects of life, and that's why you chose Ubud to have it, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Look, Ubud's a place you go for a tree change, not a sea change, as we say in the West, but a tree change. So it's the sort of place you go for kind of a wilderness refreshment. And, what's really interesting nowadays is, I guess in this COVID era, everybody's, enjoying nature more than ever. And there is this movement, I don't know if you've heard of forest bathing, like this idea that came out of Japan, where actually there's healing to be done when you're within a forest setting. And I think that's what Ubud offers.
It's kind of the opposite of Kuta. That's night and day. Now, the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival will run from October 8th through the 17th, mainly online with some in-person events. Janet Deneefe, founder, thank you very much from your time on that nice, cool, breezy day in Sanur. And one more thing before we go to break, ladies, if you had to recommend one book to read, one that you're reading now or just picked up, what is it? Millie, you first.
You must read How Not to Die by Michael Greger, MD. Then you'll know everything about your health, what to eat, what not to eat.
All right, and you're reading it by Kindle. Okay. Linda, your recommendation.
Ska Umar Khayyam. This was an anthology based from the column written for decades by Umar Khayyam, the late Umar Khayyam, who was not only a college professor in Indonesia, but a prolific writer. And in here, you would read snippets about the political, cultural, and sociological lives of Indonesia in the 80s, in the 90s, and at the beginning of the 2000s.
And my recommendation is Fall Baby by Laksmi Panmunjak, an Indonesian author. It's about a tale of two women and their journeys in Germany and Indonesia. Kind of I wouldn't say a woman's tale, but the interaction between the two female leads, and I just picked it up. More Hot Indo is ahead with Foodie Alert. A new cuisine is arriving, ranging from thick to long.
Foodiepedia. Every week in this program, I will introduce you to one of Indonesia's fabulous food items. Yummy. Beautiful. Now, I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia channel.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCCTV Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Sambodet from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia channel. The best of Bali, only on the Indonesia channel.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, foodie alert. There is no shortage of trendy cuisine on the Jakarta scene, and a couple of new entries are American favorites. The Chicago-style deep dish pizza has finally found a home here with the traditional pie going for about $14. And Subway is about to relaunch in the world's 4th biggest country. It's foot-long sandwiches, meals in themselves. You know, I went to school near Chicago, so I have been dying for a good deep dish, which must be between 1 to 2 inches, or that's about 5 centimeters thick. Millie, thin or thick pizza for you?
For me, definitely thin. And it has to have a lot of tomato, a lot of cheese, and gooey and melty, and I'm all for it.
Okay, but you never had the thick one, right? Because it's the first time that, have you?
Yes, I have. It's the Chicago traditional, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's good. I like it also, but for me, it's heavy and it's too filling.
And that's why I like it. Linda, you've seen trends come and go in this country. Why is the return of Subway such a big social media deal here?
Well, I think on the heels of Taco Bell coming to Indonesia, and the KFC being remodeled in the Tony neighborhood of Jakarta. So they're doing the same for Subway. I think that's what happened. They have to hype it up to attract the first batch of customers. And you know how it is with Indonesian young population. That's the way to go. Whether or not the cuisine will last. If you remember, Subway actually tried to enter Indonesia a while back. I remember buying it in Plaza Senayan, and they didn't last that long. It was the combination of taste and food preference and price tags. So the social media hype that we see now is really not the denominator for the future success, I have to say. But they have to do it because that's the only way to go these days.
Yeah, there already are Subway, I mean, what the sandwich is called, like long, foot-long, 6-inch. There's Quiznos already here. There are other shops, but Subway is the standard, I guess, which with people go by, right?
And I'm welcoming it. I mean, I love it. I mean, whenever I'm in Singapore, I mean, one of the first things I would get used to be Subway and Mrs. Fields cookies, but even Mrs. Fields cookies left Singapore several years ago. I had to get it in Hong Kong these days.
So it's about the product for you, Linda. I mean, Taco Bell. I know your feeling about Taco Bell. You're not a fan, and we talked about that.
I'm not.
Okay, but Millie, are you into these big sandwiches?
Yes, but I'm so much a traditionalist. I like Indonesian food. I like my nasi, nasi sambal mata, and I love the nasi Bali. So I'm an Indonesian gal, basically.
Yeah, but you go to the States a lot and you eat Western food and
Sometimes, but now that I'm here, especially in Bali,
okay.
Balinese cuisine.
Okay, you're not going to try Subway then, I guess. Okay, feedback time now, and NN had this comment on our YouTube page. What a useless show. Not too much impact because the old so boring. The show is not about us, and it's about the issues each week. And I don't really know many other talk shows discussing Rich Brian's impact on global music. And another YouTube comment from Roy, praying for the people of Afghanistan. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Millie.
Well, I spent the whole morning today getting trained on how to engage and manage virtual meetings. So virtual meetings are basically not the new normal, but it's the normal now. So I'm just trying to also engage everybody's opinion here. What kind of creativity do we have to inject into our virtual meetings? Something different, something to think outside the box. Any opinions? Please send us what you think about virtual meetings.
Final words, Linda.
In the earlier segment, we talked about books and how the pandemic has shifted a lot of reading habit, and also at the same time increase the frequency of reading. And as we now in Indonesia entering a new phase of a better pandemic handling, people going out more, I'm genuinely hoping that it would not mean that people would start reading less, because this country as a whole did not even read that much to begin with, and this new habit of reading more, hopefully it will stay. It doesn't have to be a physical book, but read good information, read responsible information, read information that you can cross-check, not just read any hoaxes that is proliferated through WhatsApp groups, every now and then. So for me, sincerely, that the pandemic that we had to deal with was also the pandemic of misinformation, and I'm hoping this new habit of reading will stay even as we ease back into the normal life, when we start hanging out at coffee shops again.
In my final words, the signs are pointing to finally getting COVID-19 under control and in numbers we can coexist with here in Indonesia. I don't think we'll need to go back to near lockdown again, but for your own sake, always follow good health practices, whether it's the coronavirus or sore back. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Millie Lukito and Linda Ibrahim, I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.